Hey, how's it going, everyone? Sorry, I know it's been a while since I made my last video. Um, but well, a few things. My roommate has been sick with COVID. He's, of course, getting better. And so I didn't want to do the video in here and disrupt his rest. And I wasn't really able to uh find a good location in the house where it wouldn't be interrupted or overheard. I mean, not that's I'm talking about anything bad, but it is still nice to have kind of this sanctuary to kind of make these videos. And I was hoping to make a video at the local park, either yesterday or the day before, because the weather's just been so nice too here. Still pretty good weather, not as nice, but I finally have this time. He is home. He might come in, but yeah, he's awesome. I'm not worried about that interrupting the video. I wanted to do another, I guess, the part 2 on my experiences with Kratom addiction, withdrawal, and the recovery. Just because that the first video I made, I know it's like, I think last I checked was 85 views, which, I know is not a lot of views, but it seems like it's been consistently getting views every day. So I figured I would kind of cover it, do another video on it and cover it a little bit more. It's been a while since I've made that video, and I hate to say I didn't review it because watching myself or listening to myself for me is kind of cringy. I wouldn't even say it's like kind of self-conscious or low self-esteem, but I don't know. I'm not a big fan of it, but I do believe I remember kind of what I touched upon. So I'm going to talk about that. And then in the next video or two, I think, because I was thinking, maybe make a topic on a video on legal drugs in general, because Kratom is one of those legal drugs, at least in the United States. Because I was talking with someone at the Recovery Cafe a few days ago that, in my opinion, some of the worst drugs, or at least the most harmful, whether that's physically or just, affecting your life situation, are legal drugs. So yeah, I would like to kind of cover that, just because, I feel that I've definitely dabbled in, well, a lot of substances in general, but especially legal ones, or as legal as you can get, that aren't either typically abused or you hear all these like horror stories. So I'll just rattle off a few things, and then if anyone wants me to go into further discussion in future videos, whether it's on what I'm about to rattle off, or any other questions about Kratom, or just any questions with my experience with addiction and recovery, I'm hoping to eventually cover everything, or as much as I can, in bits and pieces. But I mean, I'm super open to suggestions, like I mentioned in a prior video, and definitely questions, because that really helps me kind of have more of a direction instead of me just rambling off, as I already am. But yeah, so it's like one of the things I've used to abuse was bath salts. And of course I'm sure many people have heard horror stories about, like what, in Florida, someone ate some guy's face, or, that sort of thing. I wouldn't condone or advocate the use of bath salts, but I would like to talk kind of my experience with that, my experience with abusing different substances you can find in a grocery store. I'll try not to go into too much detail, just because I don't want to kind of provide information that someone might use and and start abusing themselves. But I'll go into as much detail as I can. But yeah, I can think of at least a handful of things, and I can walk to the local grocery store and buy that are abusable in some way or another. And some of my research, some of my experiences with research chemicals, I would like to talk more about too under that legal umbrella. Because like I said, oftentimes they're worse than the drugs that are illegal. Because these chemists, they change a little bit of the molecule here or there, so it has its general structure and general effects, but it's just different enough to where it falls under like kind of a gray area. So it's not illegal, but I wouldn't say it's like fully legal. The only problem is though is those original molecules have been used, abused, and studied. Not everything, of course, but for the most part, much more than these, research chemicals that they put out. So yeah, I will mention it in this video. Maybe I'll go back and listen to it. But one thing that really, messed me up was a research chemical by the name of clonazepam. Yeah, so it's not Klonopin. It's not. Oh my god, it escapes me. But yeah, not Klonopin. But it was a legal research benzo, and I had bought it in a vial. Well, I guess I won't talk too much, but I bought it in a vial. I ended up blacking out for about 3 days straight. I think just because I kept redosing and then either wanting to get higher or I just forgot that I had dosed. Either way, I just was blacked out for like 3 days. So yeah, I would like to make another video on that stuff, but if you have any questions or if anything piques your interest, I at least right now, I'm at the point where if you comment with a question or hey, can you talk about this? I can see that, and then I can either reply in the comment, or if it's something that I feel I could articulate better. No, jeez. Articulate better in video, then I can do that as well. So that's what I'll say. That's all I'll say about that. As far as the kratom, to kind of recap, if you haven't seen the first video, so kratom is a tree that grows in like Southeast Asia, Thailand, and stuff like that, where the leaves, it's part of the coffee family, which I always find just super interesting. But the leaves are harvested, dried, and then shredded, and then that powder is taken. But they also do sell extracts, where I don't exactly know the process. I have not looked that up, but they do extract the alkaloids, especially the main two constituents that are responsible for the opioid-like effect, and sell those. And I've heard that can be a lot more difficult to get off of, and you definitely form much more of a physical dependence. So yeah, so they do sell it in extracts. It comes in capsules. And I think I also mentioned in the video, with the powder, which is what I primarily consumed because it was the cheapest. You can, mix it up in like some juice or something, or shake it up and drink that. You can toss and wash, which is what I would do, is just take a scoop, put in your mouth, and drink some water, swish it about, and then swallow it down. Or I've also heard of it being made as a tea. For me, that was just a pain in the butt, so I never made tea. I've occasionally bought capsules, but like I said, primarily the powder. So there's different colors and different strains, but for the most part, they all have a similar effect. It really is dose dependent. With the smaller doses of kratom, it produces an effect. I liken it to a cup of coffee, or maybe a few cups of some strong coffee. You're more energized, usually more sociable. Mundane tasks aren't so boring. You just kind of have this general euphoria. I wouldn't say full blown euphoria, but puts a spring in your step. And then when you start taking higher doses, that's when the more like kind of traditional opioid type effects take place. Like sedation, more euphoria. For me, opioids always feel like kind of a warm, fuzzy blanket wrapped around you. So just a sense of comfort and pain relief. I mean, it's an opioid. I mean, that's what they're meant to do. I guess with a little story, because I think that's all the stuff I covered last video. I first started taking it. I worked at Spirit Halloween, and the store manager there. I have heard about Kratom before, but I've never tried it. The store manager that I was working with, she offered me some, and of course it wasn't a huge amount. But that's where I got that kind of that boost and just kind of enthusiasm to work or just talk and just do things, which, as you could probably guess, was really helpful with work, especially something more on the mundane side like retail and setting up the stores especially. So I had started using it from then on out. I don't really remember, I can't quite say, but I would say it turned to daily use relatively quickly. And for several years, I had been buying it in small quantities in head shops or smoke shops. But then as my use continued, I started buying it by the kilogram online because it was way, way, way cheaper. And usually a little better quality too. But one of my mentality, well, I was living with my parents. I'd moved back down here so I can go to nursing school. And so, having stuff shipped, or at least Kratom shipped to my house, wasn't so much an option for obvious reasons. I mean, they had known about my abuse of different substances, but, it's legal, but, of course, that's not really going to fly. So I would buy it. I would typically go daily and just buy like the smallest quantity, which it's usually sold by the ounce, which is about 28 grams, and for about $20. So I would go in and buy it just one thing at a time. And one of my problems with my addiction, with the Kratom, with pretty much everything, but especially the nitrous too, I wouldn't order it in bulk or order it online. It had to be like right in the moment, and it had to be the smallest amount because, my cognitive distortion was, okay, well, I'll just take this today, and then tomorrow we'll quit or we'll cut down. And of course, tomorrow it never came to fruition. I just continued to use. So like I said, I moved on to kilograms, just because it was way cheaper. It's like you could find it like $50-$60 for a kilogram. So that's pretty crazy to think about 1,000 grams for the price of what a few ounces would have been. So, I mean, that's like a tenfold difference. Well, actually it's like 15-20 fold difference. My fear was too, and what, did happen, was that by buying it in bulk and having that on hand, I would abuse much more of it and more frequently. And of course, that's what I did. So I started off in the beginning when I was getting it from head shops around 20 to 25 grams a day. It was almost a full pack in a 24-hour period. And, you know, that would have pretty profound effects with me. It was never enough for me to kind of like nod out, but like I said, with like work, it just made it more enjoyable. It just gave you a little more stamina. But then, you know, years down the road where I was buying it by the kilogram, I was taking anywhere from like 75 to 90 grams of it a day, which is quite a bit. I've heard of other people using more, some less. I mean, it's not a contest, especially not now. It's not something, you know, I'd be proud to boast about or brag. And, you know, we all have our subjective experiences with addiction. But for the most part, it is a higher dose than what typically people, or higher amount than what people typically use. And that's what I think I alluded to in the first Kratom video. The withdrawals were just, it just made it so difficult for me to quit. I mean, psychologically too, of course, you know, because I have that desire to want to get high, but the physical dependence is what really screwed me over. You know, I would be enthusiastic to quit. I'd have all these things planned out, you know, different supplements to help. I mean, yeah, I was gonna say pathetic, and you know, I know that's kind of negative self-talk, but it really is. It's sad, at least, that I mean, even like 6 to 8 hours into withdrawal, when I've got the first kind of bit of physical discomfort, especially what I hated the most was the physical, the restlessness, particularly in the form of kind of restless leg syndrome. I'm sure many of you are familiar with that. For those that aren't, it's and not necessarily related to opioid withdrawal, but you know, some people experience it like at nighttime, primarily at nighttime. It can also be during the daytime, but your legs just will not, or even your upper limbs. For me, it's my legs just can't stop moving, or you like. It's so hard to describe. Like, it's not painful or really, I guess, discomfortable or uncomfortable. Oh, geez. To just lay still. But then it's alleviated if you like move your legs around a bit, and then rinse and repeat for like hours, which so you could assume is pretty disruptive for sleep. So I've had that like a lot of my life, not consistent, but so it was. I definitely experienced it with more severity and much more frequency when I was withdrawn from the kratom. And then also, while I'm on the topic of withdrawal, before I go more into the active effects, I was fortunate to not have any really gastrointestinal effects, whether that's like nausea, vomiting, or diarrhea. But for me, it was just mostly increase in anxiety, increase in insomnia, increase in sweating, and just that restlessness is so bad. So I tried many times to quit, and to no avail, and I'm very fortunate that I don't know if I mentioned it in the previous video, but the first go around that I had really got a good chunk of time being abstinent from it was March or April of 2020, up until about April, May of 2021. The reason I had quit was, one, I was just so numbed and just like too preoccupied with the consistent or constant nitrous abuse, that I didn't really experience withdrawals, and I was just, you know, having delusions and, you know, some more focused on that. And of course, also I had blown through so much money that I had still some left, but not enough to really be able to buy kratom. So I went quite a while without it. I went over a year without taking it. And then Unfortunately, I did fall back into using it. Um, like I said, April, May of 2021, because I had already I started mental health court to try to um, dismiss my charges I picked up on Christmas Day of 2019. I think I mentioned that. Got arrested, tased. I was just completely psychotic, and I'm just glad no one was injured other than myself, especially killed. But I had entered mental health court in March of 2021. And, even like the first few weeks into it, I mean, I already had like 2 positive UAs for ETG, which is a metabolite of alcohol. And then, I just continued to have positive UAs. And I hate to say it, it's super scummy, but it wasn't even like I would say it wasn't even like consistently relapsing, but it was more just like just not doing the work that I needed to, because I've wanted to live a life of sobriety and recovery for so long, especially with the progressively negative consequences of my substance use. But at the same time, it's just so hard when that's so ingrained in your neurochemistry and just your lifestyle. I'm not excusing myself or making any, I'm just kind of providing at least one of the reasons why, my use was so bad. So it was just tough. In mental health court, I did want it to be sober. I did want recovery, especially in the context of being able to remain in court and get those charges dismissed. It was a minimum of 12 months, which, I've passed, but, I've been terminated. I was terminated this year in February. But anyways, so it wasn't even like I was constantly relapsing. It was just more me just not, like I said, doing the work to live a life of active recovery. So I kept having positive UAs, and then so my addiction, kind of was like, well, let's, instead of drinking, let's just buy Kratom and start taking that, because a lot of places don't test for Kratom. It is testable by UA, by urinalysis, but it's not in the standard test. So I knew I could get away with using that as a crutch. And I'd been drinking. I mean, all my substance use has been a crutch, but especially after, kind of the fallout of all the stuff that happened to me, mostly as a result of my nitrous use. I was really using, substances as a crutch, the alcohol as a crutch, because I just could not I couldn't cope with my current situation at that time, even though it had been improving. And I just couldn't cope with what I had done. I just wanted to avoid as much discomfort or as much shame and embarrassment as I could. And, drinking helped me accomplish that. Of course, not in a healthy way, but, that's what I had turned to, or had continued to turn to. So my addiction, it's like, well, let's do Kratom, we can just take that, and then, not drink, and then boom, like, we'll just skate on by, which, again, it's so scummy, like, it's just really, sad, looking back in hindsight, but, I mean, I can't beat myself up too much, at the very least, I'm over 2 months clean now, so that's super awesome, but, so I had, bought in kilograms of it, and just, I pretty quickly jumped up to about where I was taking it, but I was also drinking. It didn't do, and of course not. I mean, I don't believe that you could substitute one substance with another one, and, I mean, I guess for me, I can't, I'm sure some maybe can, but for me, like, I need to commit to total recovery. I can't just use a substance to get off another substance, or to replace another substance. So I continued to drink, and I just kept having positive UAs, which as I mentioned in prior videos, um, eventually lead to me going into inpatient, by court mandate. I know it's a strong word, but doing inpatient, and then upon getting out, going into an Oxford house, and that's where I kept my apartment. I drank. I had an overnight stay at my apartment, kicked out of the Oxford house, and because I couldn't fulfill the sober living that the court had wanted me to do, I was terminated, and then I spent 19 days in jail. But I'm getting a little off track. So my use continued from April, May 2021 until I believe the exact day was October 15th of 2021. I had tested positive for COVID. I was waiting for a bed in inpatient. Still drinking, especially heavily so because I really was resistant to going into inpatient. And, just having really horrible depression and especially suicidal ideation. My counselor actually had to call 911 and I was taken to the emergency department. But it was easy for me to stop because I was just so preoccupied with everything else. Just COVID, it hit me really hard. I was feeling like crap already. So the withdrawal kind of didn't really, I wouldn't say match that or at least exceed it. So I was kind of covered there. Even though in the past I've always taken more Kratom when I'm sick. I've read that, there's some stuff in there that can maybe help stimulate your immune system. At the very least, I mean, it's a painkiller essentially, so it's going to make you feel less crappy. But, times like that I normally would. But I think also at this time I had, not had any money again. Because I sold off a bunch of my stuff, but really didn't have much else to sell. So preoccupied with feeling like crap from COVID, drinking heavily, and I was able to escape by with withdrawals, the acute withdrawal phase, relatively easily. I mean, all things considered, it wasn't a pleasant situation, but I wouldn't attribute that much to the withdrawal, whereas prior times I've tried to quit, it was for me absolutely miserable. And I do recognize it's not nearly as strong or potentially fatal like other opioids are, heroin for example, especially if you're doing it intravenously. But still, for me, it was tough. I mean, I've always had issues getting off every substance. Okay, so that's kind of a little bit more history. And for me, also, I just wanted to jump back to kind of the effects. Some of the negative effects, adverse effects, I wouldn't even say side effects, more like adverse effects. When I took high doses, I would get really anxious, and that would manifest in like physical anxiety. So I would become really shaky. And I had times at work where I looked like I was having a seizure for a little bit because my anxiety would get so high, coupled with the kratom, and I usually wouldn't eat much because I wanted it to take full effect. Typical addict behavior. To maximize the high, and so a combination of all that stuff, I would just get extremely shaky. Also, sometimes my vision would get pretty blurred. I wouldn't say it's I've had LASIK surgery. I wouldn't say it's exactly similar to needing glasses to see properly, but more it's hard to like focus your eyesight, if that makes any sort of sense. And that would happen a lot. And for the first several years too, I can't recount the amount of times that I vomited or had nausea, then vomited after taking a considerable amount of kratom, because it's an opioid, which can cause nausea and vomiting, not just in withdrawal. But also, you're consuming grams upon grams of bitter, non-digestible plant matter. So it's, you know, and not practicing the best self-care. So yeah, that happened quite a bit. And, you know, as my use continued, that went away for the most part. There'd still be times where I had some amount of nausea and or vomiting. I think what happened is my tolerance had gotten so high, at least mentally, that I had to take so much that it was slowing down the peristalsis of my gastrointestinal tract. So, you know, like my stomach wasn't emptying as quickly as it should have. And of course, things weren't passing as quickly as they should have through my intestinal tract, because that's one of the side effects of opioids, which did affect me too, constipation. But I think what would happen is, I wouldn't say it would completely stop, but a lot of that would slow down, and I think things would kind of just get stuck in my stomach. And then eventually, you know, body's like, you know, what the hell, and expels it. So yeah, that's kind of it as far as effects go and withdrawal. I'm just trying to think. This video was kind of more spur of the moment, just because I had the opportunity to this evening, and again, I just think it's super cool. I've mentioned several times, I'm doing the videos and the blog mostly for my benefit, because journaling, I mean, I already feel like I'm in a better mood having just talked to my phone, essentially. But I really appreciate the fact that I can post, you know, like this video and other videos and my blog online, and at least have some exposure, whether that's just a few viewers or, you know, hopefully in the future more, because it holds me accountable. I've tried to journal many times in the past because it is a pretty good cognitive behavioral technique. It's a really good way to kind of get your emotions and thoughts out of your brain onto, you know, paper, or, you know, onto a video recording. So I like that. It holds me accountable. And then also, you know, I really do hope that these, you know, posts can help even just one person, and not even like to the point like, oh, you saved my life, but like, hey, you know, I appreciate your perspective, or I don't know, or just a precautionary tale. Oh, is my roommate coming back? I do want to wrap this up though. It is getting super long. Oh, I lost my train of thought. Oh yeah. One thing in my IOP, my intensive outpatient, this morning, we watched one of the movies that was kind of based on Bill Wilson, one of the co-founders of Alcoholics Anonymous. And there's a part kind of halfway in the movie where he's like jonesing to drink. And I think he's out on a business trip, and so he's calling all these pastors or ministers, trying to find a drunk to talk to. You know, he eventually gets through to somebody, and he goes and meets him, and I think he was a doctor, or used to be a doctor, alcoholic. And the guy's like, well, I don't know why my wife or whoever set this up, like, everyone's talked to me, nothing's worked. I don't know what you could offer me or kind of help me with. And Bill replies, I'm not here for you, I'm here for me. So I thought that was really cool. Pretty profound. And I've come to realize that in my recovery, and especially involvement in the recovery community, is, you know, by helping others, it really helps me. So again, you know, having the accountability of being online, but also hopefully helping somebody else, at least with the intent of doing so. And again, I the interactions I've had with people in, you know, written comments, you know, on the videos or on, you know, the Reddit, the Reddit, you know, I really enjoy it. So yeah, I do hope to make more videos. I do want to do a recovery recap I also do want to be quick because I'm having a smart recovery meeting in 22 minutes. My recovery's still been going really well. I mean, there's really nothing too new to say about it. Still attending, all my treatment. I should be finishing IOP, graduating my intensive outpatient and moving to outpatient, which, I do like our group, but it'll be nice to move from, 4 days a week to 1 day a week. And I think it's like 9 hours to like just about 2 hours. So having that schedule more free will be nice, but I also have to be extra vigilant or diligent with my recovery because what's the saying? Idle hands are the devil's workshop. For me, boredom is a huge trigger for me. So, and I just do much better having a structure, whether that's going to work or going to school or both, and just having activities. So I do need to be aware of that. I am aware of that, but I do need to be extra cautious and fill that time wisely. Still enjoying all my, meetings I've been doing. I haven't done the quitting Kratom one since last Wednesday. So I missed, I usually don't go to the one on Friday, and this is on Zoom. I don't go to the one on Friday because it's at 7 in the morning, but the Sunday and Wednesday ones I've gone the past several weeks. So I'll admit this is kind of also sad. I've been playing a game online for the past few weeks. It's Raid, and this isn't a sponsored video. I'll just quickly say, I use like sites that have offers. If you like open up bank account, you get $20. For this one, I think it's like $95 if you complete an objective within 30 days. So it's fun. It's been a really good kind of way to immerse myself into something, get involved with something sober, which is nice too, because I would typically do my video games would be one of the drivers of my substance use. Pretty much any way to enhance the experience, make it more fun, I would do. So it's kind of nice to have this environment or this time to enjoy a video game without the need of substances. And there's been some cravings, but it's just been nice to enjoy it in its entirety as, sober individual. But, so it's been nice to get involved in that. But my goal, of course, is to hit those objectives and get that money. I know my time could definitely be better spent, whether looking for a job or doing more meetings. But for me, I feel it's at least been kind of a wash. I wouldn't say it's like been a boon to my life, but I wouldn't say it's been a bad thing per se. And, I do hopefully, I intend to finish off that objective in the next 7-10 days. So yeah, there's that. And then, yeah, that's kind of, and I know it's not really an excuse. I mean, I can do these videos in between, my sessions with playing, but, there's something on that topic I wanted to mention too. Well, I don't know, but so my recovery's going well. Saturday was my 60 days, so now it's like, I don't know, 63 or whatever. I'm not going to do the quick math, which is crazy because this is the longest I've been sober in so long, and I'm really enjoying it. I'm really reaping the benefits. I wouldn't say it's been easy, but it's definitely been worthwhile. Yes, I'm starting to ramble off too much. I am extremely fortunate. I don't think I've mentioned it, even on my blog, but, I have gotten assistance with, rent for the next few months. So that way I don't have to worry about finances really much. you know, because rent will be covered, and then the money I make off of those offers kind of covers the non-food stuff like soap and personal soap. We have like laundry detergent provided here. And then food stamps, of course, EBT, which I'm just so grateful for all of that. You know, and not having to worry about whether or not I'm going to be facing homelessness or, you know, going a day hungry or several days hungry. So I'm extremely fortunate for that. And I do feel kind of like a bum, but, you know, I do want to take this time to really work on my recovery because I'm kind of down to the last, you know, straw or last shot. I mean, I can't continue to, you know, mess up. I really have to get it. I wouldn't say get it right this time, but at least do much better. Especially being on probation for 2 years. But yeah, and also just going down to the recovery cafe and volunteering, that's been awesome too. Again, kind of the active service and, you know, helping others helps me. So it's selfless kind of in a way, but it's also selfish in a way. On the sun, oh, this is bad. Oh, all the more reason for me to probably end this video. Yeah, I should have thought about that earlier. Alright, well, at the very least, I'm audible. Hopefully I've been audible. So I'm going to end it here. Like I said, I do want to cover more legal stuff. Definitely, open to questions, or, you know, I would appreciate, any sort of input or questions, so I can kind of guide future videos. I thank you guys, everyone, for, tuning in and listening. I just really appreciate you, you know, taking some time out of your day to listen kind of to my story. It helps me a lot. But of course, don't feel obligated. You know, my recovery is going to be strong with or without. But yeah, I just appreciate all the viewers and all the kind and positive people that I've run into online and interacted with. It just kind of reaffirms why I want a life of recovery. So yeah, so stay tuned for, I don't know if the next video will, the video will be like on the legal drugs as a whole, or if something else, but, either way, I'm going to try and post another video tomorrow, or at least within the next few days, now that like I said, my roommate, I have a place to make videos again, because this helps me a lot. Okay, so enough rambling. I hope everyone has a wonderful day, and I will see you all next time.